recording. Okay. So we're going to talk about handling objections tonight. Just like a little, we want you guys to ask us questions and stuff too, okay? So please, please, please make sure you do that. Literally. So do you want to tell us what objections are you all getting right now? Like, what do you feel like you need help with? Are you getting objections? Seriously, don't be shy.
So I'll speak up. Most of mine are, that's too much money. That's too expensive.
Who's saying that? I'm just curious.
Lacey.
Oh,
Sorry.
it was
It's
Lacey.
Yeah.
Lacey. What's up, girl?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm going to do this so that we can all see each other. Is that fair?
Mhm.
Since we're just asking questions and kind of talking through this?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love that.
Okay. Belle, do you want to take that?
Okay, sure.
Cause
Yeah.
objection?
So yeah, it happens all the time. But I think the first thing is like the first thing you need to check yourself is your mindset on and what you know about our packages. Okay. So is your mindset that you think that what we have to offer, our packages, are too expensive? If the answer is yes, you need to look at the packages and you need to see the breakdown of really the value of what they're actually getting, okay? And especially compared to anything else out there, okay? So that's first and foremost, because I find that my mindset is that this is a steal, right? Like, because of everything that they're getting. And so I don't find that, I do get cost objections, but it's not something that I guess holds me back. And I get a lot more yeses than cost objections because of my mindset of the value. And I explain that. So when you get an objection to it being too expensive, if it is the package that they're talking about, then okay, so you need to look at how you're talking about it. Are you excited about all that you have to offer? Are you sharing that it not only comes with our full year access of Beachbody On Demand, but it comes with both of our full nutrition programs, which, by the way, those used to be sold separate by itself. And now it actually comes with it. So that is huge. Like that by itself was like,
I paid $160.
yes.
Yeah, for To Be Mindset.
Correct. And so they're getting the chance, if one of the full nutrition programs isn't for them, they get the chance to try the other one. It's a really big deal. So it's like they're getting a nutritionist, they're getting a trainer, they're getting 42 plus programs at their fingertips, you as their coach for an entire year, and access to your group and community for an entire year. You can't get that anywhere else. So if you're explaining it correctly, the value is there and that's not too expensive. They might not have it in the budget, which is a whole nother thing. And it could also be a smokescreen because some people don't want to spend that money or they don't understand the value, right? So explaining the value of what they're getting before they can give you that objection is key. And we're going to talk about that. Does that help? Should we say any more to that, Kirsten?
I was just going to say, just reevaluate. I loved what Val said because that was what I would say too, is just, do you think Shakeology is too expensive? Ask yourself that. Like, are you cringing when you have to send somebody the price of the challenge pack? And honestly, let me just share this. I've been doing this for a long time. I still sometimes have to gut check it and say, is this too expensive? Because I hear the objection a lot. So, because you're just always will. And so sometimes I'm like, maybe this is too expensive, you know, because you're hearing it a lot. And so that doesn't mean that that's the truth. You have to understand the value of it to portray that. And so why I'm saying that to you is I want you to like really think about it, because your language that you're using, it could be like one word that's portraying too expensive. For example, I always say it's only $160. You get all of this for only $160. That only word is huge. But you might be someone, you could be, if you're talking to someone like this, is like, I mean, I know 160 is a lot, but I'm telling you, it's the greatest value. Like you're already portraying that as the price objection. You know what I mean? As like you are validating their price objection. So just kind of think about how you're saying things. And then I just lost my train of thought. Don't assume a price. Don't assume an objection. I do that sometimes even now. I'm like, oh crap. Don't assume that they're going to object to price. So I know a lot of new coaches will message me and they're like, oh my gosh, she wants to know the cost. I don't know how to tell her what it costs. And it's like, it's okay. Like, wouldn't you want to know how much something costs if you were going to buy it? But make sure that you know that you're going to solve their problem first. If you don't know the problem that you can solve, then $160 is a lot of money for an unsolved problem. One time, somebody said this to me once, and I was like, you know what? That's so true. If someone can afford a smartphone, they can afford a challenge pack. And I will tell you, all the people that tell me they can't afford a challenge pack, go buy a $3,000 Peloton bike a month later. So don't tell me you can't afford a challenge pack. They can. They just don't see the value in it yet. So that's your job. But you have to uncover that pain point first. If you don't know how we can solve their problem, then they won't see it. But people will spend money on things. They really will. So hopefully that's helpful.
I just want to add to that too, Kirsten, because something that my coach did with me was tell me, because this was a huge objection of mine, me personally, like an objection that I gave. And I have done this with other people too. It gets personal, but I was challenged to go into my bank account and see what I was spending my money on. And I have done a post and I recirculate it every so often, and it always gets very good traction about how I didn't find confidence and self-esteem and weight loss and all of that when I looked at my bank account. What I saw in my bank account was Papa John's and Starbucks and eating out when I didn't feel like cooking and all of that. And when you add that up, it's crazy. So I have gotten I've had other people do the same thing. Look at your bank account and see where you're spending your money. And I know sometimes it's a super sensitive subject, but I know that what those steps did for me to go in there and realize all the Starbucks trips.
Self-reflection.
And all of that.
Yeah, self-reflection is huge, but it's a scary thing for sure, but it's eye-opening. So that is an excellent idea.
Yep.
I think
and
if
I also
having the conversation though, I think if you just lead with, I love this. This is something also I learn and I do all the time, is just lead with your fear. So if you are like afraid you're going to offend them or you're afraid you're going to get really personal, just say, listen, I know this might sound really personal. Is it okay if I just ask you a couple questions or offer you some suggestions? And most people, they'll let their guard down when you say that. Like because I really just want to help you. This is what somebody did for me. And I'm sure that's kind of how Katie positions herself. But it is going to be an awkward conversation if you haven't created or built a relationship with this person yet. And that's why it's so important for you to do that first. And 100% money back guarantee. Like that is always something, I don't say that first typically, but if I handle the objection and I cannot get somebody to just do it, like they're so afraid of spending the money, I will talk to them like it's no risk. Like absolutely no risk.
I'll add, sorry, my son was down here. He's sick. But I'll add that sometimes I'll break down what the actual cost of each thing is so they get the idea of everything that's in that $160 package. Because sometimes when you really break down like the individual cost, it kind of brings things to light. Like the fact that the nutrition programs are in there is huge. Like huge, huge, huge. Another thing that I always say, well, not always, but I'll say, like there is a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you aren't happy, if you don't like it, you can always return it. But I always add in like, but I'm confident that you're going to love it. Because sometimes there's something about knowing that you can get your money back that just sort of like takes some of the pressure off. What other objections are you getting?
I've had two actually, and like Kirsten just mentioned, there are so many people out buying bikes now, the Peloton or whatever, and a couple of people that I specifically asked even prior to them purchasing their bikes about joining Beachbody, said, oh, I don't really have the space to work out at home. So it's a space issue working out at home, or I don't really like working out at home. Or then they turned around and bought a bike. So I use my bike. So those are the few snags I've run into recently, because I'm fully sold on the value of everything. I was one of those people who thought Shakeology was pretty expensive, and I've been using it over a year now. So I'm sold on the value of that. So and people see me drinking it at work every day. So it has sparked some conversation that way. But the other issues are not having the space, not really liking to work out at home, and then people are purchasing equipment to use instead.
So I think one of the things too that you can get really good at handling objections if you begin to start asking questions. So when you get that objection, don't say, okay, well, let me know if you change your mind. Why? Ask why. Like, is it okay if I ask why? I don't like working out at home. Is it okay if I ask why?
Okay.
And they might say, I don't have enough space, which is not true. We all know that you can work out anywhere. They might say, it might actually be, I tried it before and I failed. That's like a huge thing that people will not talk to you about until you peel back the layers. So you have to say, okay, well, tell me about that experience. So again, remember this, the person who's talking the most loses. The person who's talking the least wins in a negotiation. So if you find yourself spewing everything out through text, through messaging, stop yourself and say to yourself, oh, I'm doing all of the talking. Because we get super excited. You get this and you get that and you want to work out from home, but you may have an assumption of why you think that she doesn't have enough space, when really she's not working out at home because she can't stay motivated and committed to it, because she's not motivated enough on her own. So, but that's where you talk about the community. Well, oh, we got you there. We have the community. You have a program to follow, but we make all these assumptions based on our own experience when that might not be their experience at all. So if you have an objection, stop yourself. Don't get sad about it. It's just saying, I need more information. Like that's what an objection is saying. And I had a coach one time message me, and this is where her mindset was, and maybe you feel like this too. She said, I keep getting so many rejections. And I was like, no, that's not the word. You're not being rejected. It is not personal, okay? It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. So you have to uncover what it is that they're objecting to, and don't be afraid of them. Just tell yourself, okay, have I figured out what their problem is? How can I handle this with what I'm going to solve? And then how can I show that we can solve that problem? Did I ask enough questions? Start fighting the objection before you get it. Yeah, ask questions. So I've done this before where I feel like even after doing this for 8.5 years, maybe I'm like short on time or something. And I have someone, I just did this. I was trying to close out the month, and I literally had somebody reach out to me seeing before and after pictures, and she's like, oh my gosh, tell me about your program. I was like, okay. And then I was like, let me send you an email. And I sent her an email that talked all about my groups, and she was like, no, I don't want, like, she was so excited. And then she was like, no, I don't want to do it. And then I couldn't bring her back in. I was like, I didn't even ask her more questions. Like, what about those transformations excited you? Like, what is it that you want? You know, why did that impact you? And she like hasn't responded to me. So I have nothing, because she was like, no, it's not for me. As soon as I gave her the price, and then she told me it wasn't price.
Okay.
It was something though. She was so motivated by the pictures, and then wasn't. So that was a shame on me. Like I didn't take enough time to really understand why she wanted my help. She might come back around, but could have helped her last month. So questions are huge.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the same thing. Like before you dive into that cost, when they say they're interested, it's like, boom, the first thing I ask them, okay, do you mind if I ask you what your goals are? And I give them examples. So that is how I lead. So right there and then I know that. And then after they answer that, then I ask about nutrition, because if they are wanting to lose weight, there are probably some challenges there with nutrition. If you have that right there and then, you know exactly how you can help them if they tell you what their challenges are with nutrition. And if you lead that way, then you're going to be able to kind of work through the objection before it gets there. Mm-hmm. So that's why, yeah, just off what Kirsten was saying, you ask those questions beforehand, talk about their goals. Know it's already right there. Know their eating habits, their pain points. You're asking those questions. Yeah.
So when you say what examples of the goals, can you give the examples of the goal questions that you ask again?
Yeah, I actually posted those in when we did the conversation, the Connections to Conversations call. I posted all the scripts. It's in there, but I will say what I say. I basically say in parentheses after I ask what their goals are, I said, do you want to tone up? I say lose weight, improve nutrition, gain energy, incorporate fitness, all the above. And most of the time they're going to say all the above. That's usually how it always pans out. And then from then, after they say that, and I say, okay, can you tell me, sometimes I ask what a day of eating looks like, because sometimes they give more information. So depending on how they answer, right? Sometimes they want to tell you their whole thing that they have going on. Mm-hmm. And so you want to know exactly what it is that they're doing. And then when they give you that, then I usually give them that, like, what do you think you would do better with? A plan that is more of an estimate, that whole little spiel, or more structured, learning, how to balance in portions and yada, yada. And then they can actually pick and tell you which one that they'd like to do. I love that. And so boom, you know which nutrition program is going to work for them. You have their solution right there. So that's how I lead it.
Sometimes the nutrition piece is tricky. So one of the things, like Val said, that has worked for me is I say, tell me what a day of eating looks like for you.
I do that too.
And then I also ask them, how much do you eat out every week?
Mhm.
That's going to give you two things. That's going to tell you how much money they spend a week that they're wasting. And that's going to be a way for you to handle their price objection. You know, sometimes I'll ask them like, oh, are you a big Starbucks drinker? Like, oh my gosh, I drink Starbucks every day. Well, okay, well, there's your $7 a day that adds up to $50 a week. But I will ask them, like, and you can get super specific if people are vague, like, how do you drink your coffee? Because think about the ways that people add extra calories to their day. Like, drinks are huge. People were like, I don't drink water. And I'm like, well, if you're drinking enough of the water that you need to be, you don't have room for the 5 cups of coffee and the 3 glasses of wine at night. Like, you just don't. Your body can't handle that much liquid. So just asking a lot of questions like that, especially with people that want to lose weight, because we all know that it's nutrition. Like, they can work out all day long and they get a nutrition program for free. And people want the solution to that more than anything. So, cause I don't know, Val, do you get people that are like, well, I eat like, okay, like that's the answer.
Yeah.
Like, how's your eating? Like, well, I like that. I'm watching what I eat. Like, what is that mean?
Like, people say, well, like, I eat pretty healthy most of the time. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But if you're wanting to lose weight, then we have to make a tweak. And I always say knowledge is power. So I'm continuing to learn and grow in regards to nutrition. There's always more to learn. So how could this hurt you? Right. So that's like a big thing. Like, even with the packs, like, people say like, oh, I already have like a full gym in my basement, so I don't need the equipment, but I do need the ball. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to tell you, you are paying less for this package. And I don't think you can never have enough resistance bands or whatever. And you're getting access to all of these things, which if you were to buy them all by themselves, it would cost you like 3 to 4 times. So let's not do that. You're good. But yeah. So it's just, again, like, explaining.
But also saying, like, how's that working for you?
Right.
How's that gym you have working for you?
Right.
Like, do you use it?
Right.
Oh, well, no.
Right. I mean, I had a girl say, oh my gosh, my friend, I invited this girl, I'd been talking to her for a couple months, and she's like, oh my gosh, I have this friend who lost 10 pounds doing Beachbody. And so she's like, so I want to do this. And I'm like, okay, I mean, this is the same girl. And so I'm like, all right, let's do it, you know. And she's the one that's like, and then she ends up telling me she doesn't eat enough, which I'm like, okay, this is how we're going to help you with learning exactly what to eat to help you with, because you hold on. If you're not eating enough too, you hold on to weight as well. So, yep.
Yeah, these are good. The that's really can be really significant if somebody has something that they're like, if they say they have a goal, or maybe you know them. Like, I've known people, like, I knew they were getting married, you know, so I knew they had a goal. Like, what's your goal? I had a client tell me, she's like, I want to lose 50 pounds by my 50th birthday. So I made that like something super exciting for her. You know, you need to start now. So you can get them like visioning for their future. What would it be like if you started now instead of waiting? You'd already lose, 15 pounds by April. You'd be that much closer to your goal. Oh yeah, feel, felt, found. Do you want to do this one, Amber? Or do you want me to?
This one I actually have for Val, because every time I come to Val that I'm getting an objection, she's always like, use I feel, I felt, I found. I'm like, oh, duh.
Yeah.
I need to use that.
Yeah. So
Go ahead, Val.
It's just literally using your own story, your own experience with it. That's all that is, because most of us all felt that same way. And if you didn't put yourself in their shoes, just as an outsider looking in, and you can still say how you felt. I mean, I think most of us has had probably a cost objection to some part of this.
I was just
I
gonna
remember
ask
that 160 and I'm like, I have to pay to be a coach. Like, I'm going to be working. I'm going to be helping people. Like, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand at first. Now I understand it, and it's different, like what I'm actually getting. Because I didn't understand Shakeology. So, I mean, most of us, when we first started, we didn't understand Shakeology. We didn't know the benefits or how we were going to feel with it. So right there, that example right there is boom. You can tell them how you felt with spending that money at first, right? And then how, I feel. Okay, so I'm trying to think of the example of how exactly I say this. I feel, I felt, I found. So is it when you're saying I feel, is it like you feel, it's like you're
So
understanding?
I just posted an example. It's like,
Oh,
oh my
okay.
gosh, I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah,
Like
yes,
I was living
that's what I
paycheck
thought.
to paycheck. Yeah. When I
Yes.
signed up too. But what I found was I actually saved money by drinking Shakeology and meal planning.
Yeah.
So I should have said I felt the same. So oh my gosh, I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way too. I was living paycheck to paycheck when I signed up. But what I found was, so you can actually create all of these. You are always going to have money, time, spouse, I guess space is one. Like that's pretty much it. Like you're going to have the same objection. So you can create your own story. So Val objected to Shakeology. I don't remember how I handled it, but she didn't want to do it when she signed up. So that's going to be your objection. Like, I don't want to do Shakeology, or I don't want to do the supplements. So again, think about it. Every time you have an objection, I want your brain to go, what question can I ask? And so if someone objects to Shakeology, I want to know, what do you know about it? Have you had a shake in the past?
Have you ever tried Shakeology? That's always a
The
good
biggest thing is, oh, I already have a protein shake. I don't need it. I get that one all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and I always say, okay, so tell me about that shake. Because chances are that's a protein shake. Shakeology is not a protein shake. It has protein, but it's not a protein shake. Recover is a protein shake. Shakeology is not a protein shake. So that's where I dig into more about, what do you know about it? What have you had in the past? Because other people will look at Shakeology like it's Slim Fast, which is disgusting and made me sick every time I drank it.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I
So
thought it was a
it's
Slim Fast
not
shake.
a weight loss shake either. So you might get that objection is like, well, I'm not trying to lose weight. I don't want a weight loss shake. Oh, it's not a weight loss shake. It's just a byproduct. Weight loss is a byproduct of the shake, drinking it, because your body gets so healthy and you're not craving sweets and salty foods and crap anymore. And it's detoxing stressors, toxins from your body. So your system runs efficiently. You go to the bathroom regularly, like all those things. So if you struggle with Shakeology objections, which is so common when you are brand new, I want to challenge you to educate yourself. Get on the Shakeology podcast, the Shakeology IG page, into the Coach Online office. Go to the gosh, what is it? Like Build My Business or tools, and I don't even know.
Grow My Business.
There is actually, in the new coach training for Friday, in one of the videos that we have, there is a Shakeology video included in there.
I shared one also in our new Coach Basics last month. So the one, like, why is it different? Why does everybody need it?
Yeah, so you have your own experience, but also understand all about it. You will have so much more respect for it, knowing that it goes through, like, I don't know, 11 tests before it gets to your front door. Like, I didn't know that until I saw the creator talking about it, to make sure the ingredients are live when we get them. So people are going to constantly say, you know, or not constantly, but another objection might be like, well, I want to eat my food. I think Val objected to that.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
drinking. I want to eat my food.
that's one that I get pretty often. And I honestly, that's one of the ones I felt that way too. It's like, I want to eat something. But now I rely on it because I don't have time to eat a breakfast really. And I sip on that through the morning, and that keeps me satisfied, keeps me from running to a vending machine or grabbing something unhealthy until I can have my lunch at lunchtime when I'm at work. So
that's perfect. You just handled it. Like, it's the best when the best objections are the ones that you had.
Yes.
Because you literally can use feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. Oh my gosh, I felt the same way when they told me that I should be drinking this. But here's what I found. I wasn't eating breakfast. Do you eat breakfast? You know, and so then I put it there. And then Barbara just messaged me. She said, I eat it by putting the vanilla in my oatmeal after I make it. There you go. So there's other ways that you can eat it that doesn't have to be, sometimes I mix it with yogurt and it makes like a cake batter. But again, I want to eat my food thing, it's a smoke screen. I just feel like that's just then have it as a snack. Like, you don't,
I think
drink it with your food.
Yeah,
Like,
I think they're afraid that they're not going to eat food, like, you know, because there's so many meal replacements, like ones that you're drinking for breakfast and lunch and you know, and they don't understand it. So that's why, like, in my stories, I'm constantly sharing the value, like what's in Shakeology, because and if my viewers are seeing that I'm using it every day to get my results, I'm not going to get a Shakeology objection, because they're going to want to do exactly what I'm doing. So that right there, if you're showing up and putting it on your storefront like that, people are going to know that that's what you use. That's part of your toolkit. So I don't find that I'm getting, I mean, yeah, I have some people that just want to do performance line, but I'm still going to show up. And if they join me, they're going to start to watch me even more, and they're going to want to try it. They're going to want to know what it is. Okay. And then when they're in the challenge group, same thing. They're going to see it and see it and see it. And we're going to give them the value of and share what it is. So I think that is an important piece to it too. Because when you're planning that seed. So remember, like, when you're getting an objection, they're still going to probably watch you. You're still going to follow up. And in that process, again, if you're putting the work in your stories and on your page, they're gonna see that you're utilizing it and the value of it too. But you got to put it in there.
The other thing that I encourage you all to do is to write down the objections. So hopefully you're tracking everybody you're talking to, especially the people that say yes, they want information, and then you track what their objection is. Start tracking that. And then those are the posts that you're going to create. So Ginny, if I were you, that would be a post that I would create. Like, you know, when I first was invited to do this and change my lifestyle, everything that you just said, I was encouraged to incorporate this meal replacement. And my initial thought was, heck no, I am not drinking my meal. Like, I want to eat. And you use feel, felt, found. Okay. In that post, creating that post, just write it out. Feel, felt, found. Okay, how can I create a post using that? And you say, and here is what I found. Here is what my experience has been. And that might be a post that you put up every other week if that's what you continually hear. If you're continuously getting money objections, you should talk about that in your stories and in your posts. Because those people are watching that stuff and you're already handling the objection.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I know a really successful saleswoman who was in another business always said, get the objection in before the customer can make it, you know, put it out there first. So that's kind of what you're saying. And
Sort of,
It
but do
was-
you know what context? Because I don't think you should lead people to an objection. But
No, I
what-
mean,
what did
you're already giving the answer to an objection
before
before
they-
a customer can ask it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then in that way too, you don't seem like you're kind of beating up on them for having that objection, and then it leads to further discussion. So that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, when you always relate to how they're feeling, that takes the guard down
Mhm.
from everyone. So how about coaching? I'm sure you guys get tons of objections to coaching, right? Money and no to coaching. So what kinds of things are you hearing? I don't have time to coach. I don't want to do sales. I want to be good at it. I don't want to share on social media. What else?
I do not have enough fitness knowledge to be a coach.
Okay. Yep. So all of those objections, ask the question, how much time do you think you need? Because we all know time is an issue. My life's too chaotic right now. Totally get that. How much time do you think you need? Also understand their pain points. So it's hard to handle the coach objection if you don't have a solution to their problem. And they become a coach because they want to make an income, or they want to pay for their products, like they want to leave a job, or they want to be home with kids and they can't, or they want to have more time, which ultimately I know it seems like we're going to take more of their time, but this is big picture long term. Or they just want to be part of a community. You guys, so many people just want to do this because they want to be part of something. And they may not like come in and say like, I'm going to want to make $1 million. I just want to like have friends that also believe the things that I believe, that have like, I want to go to a big conference once a year. Like that looks really fun. I want to go on a team retreat. That looks really fun. Like that can be somebody's motivation. So I know that the coaching posts, the objections to coaching can be kind of like, I feel like they're probably a little bit harder to handle in some ways, but you just have to ask the question and you have to sort of sell the vision of what could be based on that, but you can still do the feel, felt, found. I understand how you feel. I felt the same way. When I started this business, I was like, I am not doing sales. Like I left the sales world to become an occupational therapist. But what I found was I was so passionate about what I was doing. I never felt like I was selling. I just felt like I was sharing a gift. And that's what I teach my team. Share the gift, serve people.
A question that I ask my prospects when like some reach out and ask and they say, I'm curious or I'm interested to hear about what you do. Sometimes they say that and I'm like, ooh, well, let's chat. And then I'll invite them to a coach sneak peek. And then before they come, I want to know, and I ask them, I say, I'm excited to see you at the coach sneak peek. It's going to be real laid back, yada, yada. And then I ask them, what about this intrigues you the most? And I love to hear what they have to say, because this tells me what I'm posting and how I'm sharing about it is what people are seeing. And that is the sort of things that I need to continue to post. So asking those sorts of questions are really good.
But you can also position yourself too for the objection that may come. And you are uncovering a pain point. Like, what are you most interested about? Like, what makes you so interested? Oh my gosh, I love that you work from home. I hate my job. You discovered a pain point. Oh my gosh, I love that you have friends that you work out with at 5 a.m. I wish I had that. You discovered a pain point. So she's asking that question. And I know with coaching, when someone says, yes, they're interested, we get so excited, right? We're like, oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. Like, get on my coach opportunity call. It's going to be so much fun. We are like, I love it, this team, and I love all the things. And it's just the best ever, right? And so we just like throw that at them, but we have no idea why they are interested at all. So it's just taking that. Awesome. I'm so happy that you're interested. Why? What about it? And then that's going to help you position yourself. The time thing, literally, they don't need a ton of time. And you can ask questions like, how much time do you spend on social? Like scrolling social. I guarantee you people spend 30 minutes to an hour scrolling. It's mindless. You have no idea how long you're doing it until you do it. How many Netflix series do you binge? But you have to remember too, like you have to know the pain point, right? Because I could sit here and be like, don't binge, Netflix, but like maybe that's like their stress outlet. You know what I mean? And they don't I don't know what their pain point is. Like, I don't know that they want to make an income or be part of a community or whatever. So to sort of tell them like, no, you need to spend your time here making these sacrifices is kind of shame on me because I don't know enough information. That can offend people. But if you understand their pain point, listen, you said you hated your job. Imagine if you spent just an hour working your business and building it instead of watching a Netflix show. Watch one, don't watch 10. Like, what would that look like? So kind of uncovering that. We hear time. The sales thing is huge. I don't want to post on social media. That one, I don't know, Val, how do you handle that one? That one, I feel like that can be tricky. And I feel like a lot of people come into this business feeling that way, but they change their perspective. But I don't know.
I didn't want to post. I was like, I'm not going to be sharing all of that. And I think Amber was the same way, like putting yourself out there. And I'm just like, it was just like, I didn't want to do that. But then once you get into it and you start living the lifestyle and you're doing all the things already, it just kind of comes naturally. So again, I didn't want to, so.
No, and when I get that objection a lot, actually, like people will tell me I don't have that many friends, I don't want to share. And I didn't have Facebook when I started coaching. Yeah. And my Instagram was extremely private. I didn't talk to anyone ever. So when people tell me that they don't want to share on social media, I tell them I totally understand. And that I remember the first post that I made about something about my BRCA1 mutation. I didn't talk to anyone about it. I rarely talked to my family about it. And I remember when I had my MRI that January, I posted about it and I like shut my phone off, and because it was like so incredibly far outside of my comfort zone that I didn't even, like, I didn't know what to do. But I guess, and I tell them like, once you start doing it, like Val said, it just becomes natural. You start seeing, and I tell people this, I tell them, once you start sharing those pieces of you that you feel like no one else gets, and you start sharing it and you realize, oh my God, people actually feel this way too. It gives you a sense of like comfort, like, oh, I'm not the only one who feels this way, or I'm not the only one who, I don't know, like has a sugar addiction or, just different things like that. Then it starts to become a little bit easier to share things, but it's that initial sharing that is scary. But once you do it, you just let loose.
I mean, and it's, you have like your husband grabbing your butt on your.
I was just gonna say that.
I love that picture. I was dying today when I saw that picture.
And he was like, it's about time. He wanted me to post it the day that it was taken. And I was like, I can't put this out there. And then I sent it to Val and I sent it to Katie and I was like, can I post this? And they were like, yes, like post it. So I did. And this is the thing though, I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, people are going to think that I'm like some like sex fiend or like, because my husband's like grabbing my butt. But people are commenting, like they relate to what I shared, and you know what I mean? Like I'm getting more traction on this post than you do, but the ones that I think are going to do really well. So I mean, it's just a proof that when you share the stuff that like scares the shit out of you. Sorry.
And I love the walk away too. Like I know you guys always say it, and I know Melanie says it, but like the walk away from your phone when you post it, it like works magic, because if you're super scared, just don't check your phone. Check it tomorrow and then just like see what happens.
So, I mean, there's another school of thought, not another school of thought, but another thing that you want to think about. So you want to make sure that you understand people's motive for interest in coaching and their pain point for the social media, because I will also say this, it will be a struggle to build a successful business if people aren't willing to get vulnerable and uncomfortable. So I have a coach that doesn't want to do social media, and that's totally fine. And I was like, you know what? You don't have to if you don't want to. If you want me to sit down and work through other ways to build your business, we can, because there are other ways. However, from a business standpoint, social media is the fastest and easiest way to reach the most people. So if you're looking to build a successful business, you are crazy not to be on social media. But if someone isn't looking to build a successful business, then it might not be for them. If they just want to be part of the community, okay, don't post, just come in here and be part of our community, be a VIP customer and join our team and invite people that you're closest to. So you just have to know, again, what their motives are, because someone can still have success on their terms by just reaching out to friends and family, asking them to see if they want to do this. So they can still get products paid for doing that and ease into it. But I do caution you, you don't always want to bring every single person onto your team that isn't willing to be coachable or do the things, because they're just going to waste your time and theirs. So you have to talk to them more about the social media, because look at Amber and look at Val. Like, they're so successful in this business, but they just had their objection was just something that needed to be uncovered a little further. And it was more about like, probably like the fear of failure and the fear of getting vulnerable and getting uncomfortable, more than I refuse to share my life on social. And there are people that are like that. You can't blame them, but you also sort of have to uncover that. So I wouldn't shut it down, but you can ask them that question. Okay, would you want to find another way to build your business? Are you interested in that? They say no, then it's like, it's not really an opportunity for them anyways. They're not serious about wanting to build a business or achieve whatever it is that they're looking to achieve. I think spouse is another one. Did anybody have that objection recently, or were you someone, Amber, did you have that objection too, like personally?
Me personally, no. My husband, he doesn't care what I do. He obviously doesn't care what I share on social media.
Stuff, so
so the spouse thing is, I had somebody object that her spouse didn't want her to commit just yet. She did actually, so I'm going to tell you what I did here. I don't know if this is going to work with everyone, but I had a girl at the beginning of February who was like, I don't stick to what I do now. And my husband wants me to work out like to show that I can do like Pinterest workouts or whatever before I commit to that. And I was like, well, that's like the whole point of like what I do. Like that's literally like my job is to support you and hold you accountable. But this is what I did. I texted her, I got her phone number and I texted her and said, hey, did you work out today? And so like every couple of days I would be texting her and checking in with her. And now in like 2 weeks later, her husband was like, all right, go ahead. And so she purchased a challenge pack. I can't guarantee that that would happen every time. But that did happen that way for me when I got that objection. But I mean, I don't know. I know that I also have, you know, some other spouses who are not supportive of, you know, the Beachbody stuff and things like that. So how would you, just in general, if people like doing it, how would you go for that objection? Yes, Katie, I saw your post. It was really good.
So I think you have to, every story is probably a little bit unique. I think a lot of spouse objections come from you've invested in so many other things. We're not putting money into something else. So they don't have belief in them. I think a lot of husbands like control the money. If there's an objection there, like the spouse probably has control of the money and the mom is like on a budget. So you can suggest things like, hey, why don't you ask for it for your birthday? Or why don't you ask for it for Christmas? Or can this be like some kind of present? Because when someone is that serious about it, typically a spouse is like, you want this for your birthday? Like they're probably going to say like, oh, okay. I mean, I tread this one lightly because I feel like I don't know what people's marriages are like and what their financial situations are like. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I do ask the questions like, why isn't he supportive? Some husbands are like your best friends that start hating on you when you get results. They feel threatened. Because if you're going to change, then it's going to force them to change, and they don't want to change. So I don't know that you can give marriage advice, but again, it's just uncovering those things and just kind of counseling someone through that, making suggestions, counseling them. You could even suggest, why don't you commit to the 2-week trial? Show your husband that you will commit for 2 weeks. Just like Amber said, so you have to kind of find what that objection is. And then, doing bold posts like Katie did. I will often, if they have like a serious husband objection, sort of like what Amber did, I will offer them help and resources over like the next month. And then I'll go back to them and be like, hey, I mean, I've even gone so far to say like, do you want me to talk to him? And I've gotten on the phone with husbands. So you can do that. I've gone on the phone with husbands about coaching because that's a big objection with coaching, is the spousal objection, more so probably than challenge packs, I guess. Because a lot of husbands don't get it. But again, you have to every situation's a little bit different, but if you can find, that's good, Allison, good for you. Talk to those husbands. You know what? I've even had my husband talk to husbands. So that can be something that you can do too. Like, hey, my husband, either with coaching or because he just guys just are this they're just perspective. So when you get a spousal, and if it's husband or wife, the husbands are all about money. They're always driven by numbers. That's just the way they're wired. So a coach objection, with the spouse, you want to show them the compensation plan. That's what you want to talk. The husband doesn't care about community. They don't care about transformation. They're how much money is this going to make you? Or how much money is it going to cost me? That is their thought process.
If there's a coaching, like if there's somebody whose husband is objecting to the coaching, I also will tell them to go back and listen to some of Melanie's podcasts where she's talked about the relationship that her and Matt had, because he was like completely against her coaching. And she talks a lot about that at the very beginning of her podcast. So I tell them to go back and listen to some of that and how she handled it, and like how things came around and stuff, just because I don't know, I think it's helpful for people to see somebody who's really successful start out as like not such an awesome thing, you know what I mean? So that's another thing too that I guess people can do.
And you can, I mean, she used it to fuel her passion to be successful. I mean, if Matt wasn't so objective at the beginning, who knows what her business would have looked like, because she was like, I'm going to prove this to him. Mm-hmm. And so that was a motive. So that can be a motive to people too. Like that could be their motivation. So if you have that struggle, anybody on this call, reach out to me or your upline and we can help you work through that. Know that too. Like we're doing this call, but we've been doing this for a long time. So we are just used to hearing the objections. You will get better at handling. You're always going to get them. I get them every day. I've been doing this 8.5 years. I get them every day. People tell me no every single day. So you can handle the objection in the most perfect way and people will still say no, but it's always not right now. I have people that have joined me that have said no 6 years ago. I'm not even kidding you. 6 years ago. And now we're like, okay, I'm ready. You're still doing your thing. Guess I'll join now. Amber, you said something about ghosting. So I had a couple people handle the ghosting. I don't know what that means after the invite. Like they said they were interested and then nothing. Is that what you're saying?
Give me a second here.
I've had it before. I've had it right now. Like basically like I'm just like waiting on this girl Shakeology flavor and now she's like nothing. Hasn't
so they
shown
just
up. I don't know.
Respond back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so a couple of things, like I think you have to remember people get busy, but depending on how long it's been, I know what I use for that. And I mean, I know a lot of coaches have always said to say, hey, did I say something wrong? Even though you didn't really say something wrong. That's a really great way to get them to respond to you. Like they'll finally be like, oh, wait, no, I don't want her to think like she actually did something wrong. It's on them. Whatever it is, it's them. But we're all busy. And so, you're doing that follow up. So, I mean, that's one thing that I use that sometimes they won't ever respond because that's just their way out. And you just have to put them on the follow-up list and then you'll follow up with them next month.
Yeah. So I think you just kind of in your head, you sort of know how many times you're going to follow up. And you're not going to like keep following up, like don't waste your time. And just move it to like monthly basis. So for Chelsea, right. I sort of know your situation. So you followed up a ton trying to close out February. I would just let it go. With her, I would say, hey, I know you didn't join in February. Do you want to join my free group next week? See if she responds. If she doesn't, follow up again at the very end of March. If she doesn't respond again, put her on the follow-up list for the free group next month in April. Ask her if she wants to join the free group in April. If you don't hear from her, don't follow up with her again until May.
Yep.
So you just have to kind of like, they're close together. Like if she's that close, literally like, give me your flavor to create your share cart. Or sometimes I'm even like super bold with them. I'm like, hi, me again. Do you want to do this or what? Like, cause I had a girl the same. It was like, to the point of share cart flavor, like you're interested and you're ready to go. Like that's weird that you just stopped. So, but I always just give a deadline, like, oh, my group's starting. Hey, just wanted to get you in. And then if they really are slow to respond, then they just become like once a month follow-ups. And then the conversation starts again. So if they're back into it, you're following up until you get to the purchase. And then till your group closes out every couple days. And if you don't hear back from them, it goes back into the month. I mean, people get busy or they just don't feel like responding. Or like, I noticed that I do this with products. That's why I think to myself, man, if she'd have just followed up with me more, I probably would have bought it.
Yes.
But I just don't feel like it. It's not like I didn't want to buy it. Like I was going to buy something from like Beauty Counter or something. And I was like, oh yeah, I should get that. And I was like, I don't feel like logging in and dealing with it. If she'd have followed up and been like, here's the link, I'll make it really easy for you. I'd be like, okay, here, I'll buy it. She
Total
never.
different story. Absolutely. Yeah. I think I totally agree with that. I've thought the same thing. Like, and I'm always like, I would buy that person's product if they would just ask me. Like, and people don't ask me. I mean, I honestly think that sometimes I ask people and then they end up joining like my challenge group. And then I'm like, I ask them, I'm like, hey, I'd like to try, and I'm like, why aren't they asking me? So honestly, when it comes to people ghosting out like that too, I think if you have, like, I only have a limited number of spots, like you create it where there is that time frame too, like my group is starting on Monday, then you're going to corral them into having to make that purchase or they're out. So I think having that clear distinction on letting them know that you have a limited number of people that you're working with, because this is your time and it's precious, right? So also using that, and then using when they need to sign up by, because your group is starting, they need to get their equipment, they need to get, Shakeology so they can start with everybody. So that is also a really great thing to put in there ahead of time so they know when they need to have it done.
And also just reminding them of what they told you.
Yeah.
But if you didn't find out what they told you, then it's like, crap, I don't know what their pain point is. So just saying, hey, you had that wedding next month. I wanted to get you started. Hey, you were wanting to lose 30 pounds. I wanted to get you started. So giving them that pain point, I mean, and be bold, Chelsea, like with your next follow-up, just say, hey, listen, all I needed was your flavor. Like something obviously changed your mind. Is there another question I can answer for you? So don't try to hide from the objection. Try to pull it out of them. I mean, I will say to people, is it the money? Is that why you don't want to do it? I mean, sometimes they won't tell me like, oh, it's not, whatever, they'll blow me off. And I'm like, because if it's the money, I can share with you, one, how to save money, or two, a different package.
Right.
You have to kind of like find out what their objection is. And if they just won't respond, it's like, bye, Felicia. I mean, just move on.
Your time is precious. Do not keep wasting it.
Yeah.
There are people out there that need you and want your help. And so that's where your need and energy, everything needs to go to.
So with the coaching objections too, that's one thing that we try to handle on the coach opportunity calls, is talk about the objections that people have. So if people are really objecting, that's a good way to get people on those calls. Like, I understand you're hesitant. Why don't you hop on this team call with us and we'll kind of like walk you through. We do talk a lot about the objections on the call. And then when they hear it from different people, it's like, oh, okay. And maybe we can even start tailoring the calls a little bit if we know what people are constantly hearing. Like if we hear that people are constantly hearing like spouse, we can maybe talk about that on the call directly or something.
That's a great idea. I think that would be something for sure that you guys could come to us and say, hey, like, this is what, my prospect have said, or a couple of my prospects have said. This is what they're concerned about. And that definitely should be discussed in our coach call for sure. So make sure you're asking your prospects that question, so we have that arsenal and we can handle it up front.
Was this helpful for you guys?
Yes, it was.
I mean, we could probably do like all night of objection.
Right.
Because every scenario is a little different, but you'll start to get good at it as you learn to handle more. I think don't be afraid to go back to the conversation either. So if any of you guys on here, maybe you've had objections and you were like, oh my gosh, they said no, and then you left it go. Okay, thanks. Like, I mean, I did that too. Like, all right, I understand. Like, I'll message, you know, like, let me know if you're interested. They're never going to let you know. Like, don't leave. They won't ever let you know, more than likely. So just go back to them and say, you know what, I was thinking about you, and I know that we talked about this, and you know, you said that you thought it was the money. Did you know you could actually earn your product back by just helping a couple of people? I can teach you how to do that. Would that be something that would interest you? Or send them. I actually was encouraging Chelsea. She had someone that was really hardcore money objecting. I had her just send some resources to them. So that's a really good idea to do with any of your people. If they don't have time, send them tips on how to create a morning routine and how to have a more productive day. If they aren't motivated, ask them, hey, can I text you 3 times a week to help you get your workout in? If they are money, send them some tips on budgeting. Send them tips on meal planning on a budget. Just send them free resources that are going to help them with whatever it is. And I promise you it will go so far, because they will appreciate the fact that you actually care and that you're not just trying to make a sale, you are actually trying to really help them. So Kelly and I are doing Bob Heilig's training, and he always talks about this. And you should always expect nothing in return. Like, don't send the budget sheet because you expect them to buy something from you. Send it to them because you genuinely want to help them with their income or their money or whatever. Like, just so always have that mindset of just serve and serve and serve, expecting nothing in return. And everything will come to you tenfold. And you'll feel better about it inside. You won't be scared of objections anymore. You'll welcome them and be like, okay, well, how can I help you with that? And you'll start to rack your brain thinking like, okay, she has this. How can I show her the value in this? How can I prove this? How can I send her a meal plan? How can I, you know, be her coach? Whatever the objection is, you'll start to position yourself differently. And I guarantee you'll stop getting the objections, because people will hear your heart. Anything else? We're like 10 minutes over, so. No? Okay, well, next week we have our coach opportunity call. So we have new coaches on here that I think should share their story. I know, Val, you have some new coaches that, I mean, Lacey's killing it. I don't know if she's still on here. Maybe she wants to share her story. This is getting out of your comfort zone, or talk. She doesn't have to share a story. She can share something about coaching. And then you guys, any of your
I'm
new
still here.
coaches, oh, good. Any of your new coaches that signed up in February or sign up in March are going to get a $40 off coupon to give to their person of choice. I've never seen Beachbody do this before. This is super cool. They're going to get a challenge pack in Shakeology. They're basically getting Shakeology for $20. So get Beachbody on demand for a year, or whatever challenge pack they decide to do. And they can use it through April.
April 30th. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So make sure you go back to all your coaches you signed up in March, even if they signed up as a discount, and tell them to check their email. Do they have anybody that wants to do it? If they have anybody, they can join your group if they're not a working coach, and you can coach their customer. And then any coaches, and even use this as incentive for new coaches. Maybe they're afraid, like, I don't know that I can be successful. Well, listen, your first customer is going to get a $40 coupon. How awesome is that? Mm-hmm. So that can be also a reason why someone joins to be a coach. I mean, heck, they could sign up as a discount coach and then take $20 and take $20 to their friend. And they both could get $20 off of the challenge pack.
So this is for any coach that signed up January, February, or March.
No,
so
isn't
it's
it just February?
no.
Oh, it's January too?
January, February, March, and
Oh,
because I checked the FAQ today because I was telling my coaches about it. I'm like, hello, look in your email. They should have gotten an email March 1st. So I know Lacey signed up in December, so she doesn't have one.
Okay.
I don't know. Tony probably is on here. I don't think he does either because I think they signed up before too. But anyways, so check with all of your coaches that even signed up in January. And this would be something great to put in our challenge groups too, because honestly, our customers could sign up with the discount if they wanted to their best friend to come in, right? Or if they want to get their product. So like you could put this into your challenge group and share like, hey, you have a friend that wants to join us. You could offer them, a $40 off if you just invite them to join us. So I think it's a great incentive. It's so cool that they're doing this.
Yeah, and your coaches that are just starting, they need that win. Like that first sale is always the hardest and the scariest. And if they can get that win, then they're like, oh, then it's just like, okay, I did it. Right. So create urgency in your own brain with that. Like, all right, I got to recruit like crazy this month so that everybody has another full month to enjoy that in April, because they have till the end of April to do it. So just make sure your coaches are aware of the email and they get the email and you can help them through that. So, all right, guys, anything else? Good, Lacey. I'm glad this was helpful. If you're hearing objections, it means you are inviting. If you aren't hearing objections, it means you're not inviting enough. Chelsea's been getting all the objections.
All right,
So
you
many
guys.
objections right now. It's ridiculous.
All right. See y'all at 5 a.m.